What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another deck profile here on TCG University for the card game UniVersus. My name's Tam, and today I'm going to be showing you the Kevin Broberg 2-dot deck that I played for the Campus Championship this past week, the Champs versus the World. If you like this profile, make sure you go out and you check out all the other profiles that we did for this week's Campus Championship, as well as all the matches that we played, especially the ones with Kevin Broberg in them. So, with that said, let's jump into the profile. All right, so Kevin Broberg. If you haven't seen one of my deck profiles before, basically what we're going to be doing is instead of reading off the cards verbatim, I'm going to be telling you more of how the deck wants to operate, how the deck wants to work, as opposed to like what the cards themselves say. So, what does this Kevin Broberg deck want to do? Well, this Kevin Broberg deck is a little interesting. I had this idea for a good Kevin Broberg deck, a deck under the good symbol, but I am not allowed to play the good symbol for this profile. I have to play evil, and so I wanted to see if I could kind of shoehorn this idea in. And honestly, it didn't work, but I think there's something here to be explored. Maybe not with Kevin, but with something else. So maybe, hopefully, this inspires you to find a different build of this. So what does Kevin want to do? Kevin wants to build free foundations either from his hand or from the top of his deck, depending on how many assets that we have. Assets are the green cards, and we'll get to those. Or respond commit after my opponent plays a check. I'm going to make them that check harder. And the cool thing about Kevin is this is playable on block. We are playing, I believe, 10 unique or 10 assets inside of the deck. I believe there are 7 unique ones that we could be playing, or 7 assets that we could have total. So -7 to your check, just kind of whenever I feel it. And so let's jump into it. Yeah, let's just get to it, and we'll be able to see the combos as they come alive. So the main attack that we're playing a bit of a longer version of the game. I want to play triple Pulse Flare. This card says I can destroy my face downs in addition to momentum to pay for the powerful and the EX. And so what I'm doing here is I want to build in a ton of foundations face down with Kevin, either from my hand or the top of my deck, hopefully from the top of my deck because I get the bonus. And then I will play Pulse Flare and then blow up my whole staging area and then kill you. And if you do try to block me, I'm going to just say no because of the assets that I have. That is entirely the premise that was the first starting goal of the deck. This deck can be played under good or evil. I chose evil just because I think because I wanted to play the burn aspect of the evil symbol as well. So triple Pulse Flare as the main attack that we're going for. Up next, we're playing 4 Shadow Slicer. This card, honestly, is just to get them to deal with 4 attacks and then drop the Pulse Flare for fairly cheap. This card just turns itself into multiple cards. The one big thing that with this deck is Kevin can accidentally toss Shadow Slicers down into our staging area, so it's not unbelievably optimal. I just wanted to have the most value possible out of Shadow Slicers and then drop it into the Pulse Flare. Up next, we're playing 4 Cannon Crack. This is kind of a flow card. This says that if I accidentally drop down a piece, an attack piece that I need, or a combo piece that I want, or a defensive piece in my hand, like an asset or something later, I can take and discard a card and pick it back up. Really good off of Kevin, or really good off of the committed foundations. I can pick them up and then build them back. Very, very solid. It's also got a really solid 1 low block, which is important. Up next, we're playing 1 Plant Barrier as the flow piece. This just says response after I block with it. I take any card, 9 times out of 10 is going to be Pulse Flare, and toss it back up on top of my deck, and then I can draw it with a bunch of different ways. It's just essentially saying I have a 4th or possibly a 5th copy of whatever card that I need. On the defense, we are playing 4 Sawblade Strike. This card is cool because of the same reason that Shadow Slice is cool. They don't really actually want to deal with a 3 damage attack. 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to lose the 2 vitality and give it the 3 damage. I don't really care about that. I care about going to my momentum and then me stacking up my momentum, gaining my vitality whenever I can block things, and then this is momentum, so then I can use it for the powerful or EX on Pulse Flare. Did it work out amazing? No. It was fine enough. I think, once again, I think this deck can work a little better with some different choices. I think this is a good version 0.5 of the deck. And then my last defensive attack in the deck is 4 Flame Aura. It was in here 9 times out of 10. I wanted to have a perfect high block. The high block is what mattered, making sure that I can just auto block whatever I needed to. Okay, on to the assets, the main bread and butter of the deck because of Kevin Broberg wanted to play so many assets. The first one that we're playing Double White House. This card says after a card is added to my staging area, I get to draw a card. So with Kevin, I can first form add a card out of my hand into my staging area face down and then respond White House and replace that card in my hand. Or if I do have 2 assets out already, I'll build the top 2 out of my deck and then respond. And now I'm an 8-hander every turn. As well as it says that actions can't be played, and actions are really, really powerful. I don't want this ability to get revoked. And if they do revoke it, I want them to actually pay some sort of price for it. So, double White House. Up next, we're playing Triple Psychedelic Mushrooms. This card is really, really cool inside of this deck because it just copies whatever foundation that I want. So I've got a foundation or an asset with a cool ability. I'm just going to take and copy it. So let's say I've got a new Empress of Never the Realms. Well, I can take and I just grabbed the new Empress. I can flip the Psychedelic Mushrooms and draw a card and then draw an additional card. Pretty fun. Cool stuff. Just really tech dependent as well as just a solid 2/5 2-min block. Up next, we're playing One United Kingdom of Smash. This is a very aggressive foundation. It just says plus damage, and it says to pick up the things that I might have added down with Kevin. I think this card is incredibly important inside of Kevin, both under good and evil. And I think you should play at least a 1-of in order to make sure that you, if you accidentally drop something down you don't want in your staging area, you can pick it back up. Same thing with Fiddlesticks. If my attack is dealt damage, I can take and put a cool card on top of my deck and then draw it back up. Or just getting myself out of deadlock or just drawing free cards. I'm building a ton inside of Kevin, and so it's possible if I go a little late that I could go to deadlock, and Fiddlesticks helps me stay out of it. We're playing one Cormorant. Cormorant's just a free block for my staging area. It essentially says on defense I get to be a +1 hand size character, and they can't really do anything about it, especially it's really good under the void symbol because of it existing in the staging area. A prime target for asset hate, though. We're playing one Blood, Sweat, and Beers. This card is incredibly good on the on defense, and it kind of just stops my opponent from interacting on the responses. So maybe they've got an out of your league, or they've got this is really good versus like revoke, right? They try to revoke my my cool pulse flare play, and then at desperation I cancel it and just add it back up to my hand. And then my last card is one Presidential Barbecue. This card says, after they play a copy of a card, they can't a non-foundation card. They can't play it. I'm really afraid of Punch and Judy. I'm really afraid of of non-foundation cards being played over and over and over again, such as Shadow Slice, or whatever. And it's just an all-around, just a good evil asset. And then the commit. My next block is Breaker 1. Fantastic whenever I'm playing things like Cormorant or something. I'll commit this block with a Cormorant as Breaker 2, Breaker 1, essentially Breaker 3. Onto the foundations. Like we said at the top, we're tossing these up into the different categories that they can be played in. And so the first category is the aggressive ones, and we are playing 3, the Power to Connect Realms. As we said, our biggest attack in the deck is Pulse Flare, and this card has Powerful. And so if I can just drop a couple of these down on turns that I'm just defending myself, doing a good job, and then drop my Pulse Flare after a string of Shadow Slicers and then blocking, they're down to 2 cards, well, I'll pop the 2 cards out of their hand, draw 2 cards, that doesn't matter, but they don't have cards in their hand, and then I'll just Powerful out the rest of my staging area. It's just a bit of a time bomb whenever my deck works. Up next, we're playing 4 Unwittingly Evil. This card is just there for the burn. There are plenty of cards with Desperation on them. There are plenty of cards with plenty of EX or breakers, and I just want to get them into the danger zone as quickly as I can. And the discard of Momentum for my block modifier to get +2. Really effective whenever my opponent's going to try and put my speed back to printed on a Pulse Flare. I'll EX, they'll put it back to printed. I'll discard 1 more Momentum, and now it's essentially a 5 mid that they can't deal with, not to mention the Kevin Broberg check. This card was in here to guarantee some damage. Up next, we're playing Double English Aristocrat, and the reason this card is only the 2 of and not the standard 4 of is because like a couple of my attacks actually have too many keywords. Pulse Flare and the Saw Blade Strike actually have too many keywords to be used on this, and so this is just to help guarantee a momentum hit on a poke turn using a Plant Barrier, using a Shadow Slicer, and just make sure something hits and then gain my vitality back. Up next, we're playing Double Ley Lines. Yes, Double Ley Lines. This is just to make my EX abilities even stronger. I'll lose 1 vitality, and now it's EX3 instead of the EX2 on the Pulse Flare, and so I get to use my momentum more efficiently. We're playing Double Hiding in Plain Sight as another aggressive foundation. This just says hopefully grab 2 momentum, and so it's either +4 speed, +4 damage, or 2 and 2, depending on how you want to use it. But it's just more resources. Essentially, it becomes 2 face-down foundations if we want to think about it working with Pulse Flare, which is the goal. On the defense, we're playing 1 Last of His Kind. Last of His Kind is just an all-around good pay 2 vitality -4 damage. It does give the Desperation +2, which is also important. It's a really good defensive and offensive tool. One of the best, is one voted the best unique foundation in the game. And so there's something to be said. If you can play it, you should probably just play it at a 1 of. We're playing 4 Profane Sanctuary, a bit of a flow card. This gets our Shadow Slicers in our discard pile, but more importantly, it says that my opponent can't breaker me. So when I'm playing all these Shadow Slicers, and I'm playing, and I need to play this Pulse Flare, it is a 5 difficulty attack, and sometimes I'm going to play it late in the chain. I need to make sure that my opponent can't breaker it in my turn. And so Profane Sanctuary comes in. On to more flow cards, we've got 3 new Empress of Netherrealms, pay 3 Vitality, draw a card. With Kevin dropping cards and me needing to see my kill card of Pulse Flare, I need to make sure that I can draw it whenever I need to. It's also super solid, along with the next card, arranging a deal of stacking it with Plant Barrier and then just drawing it off the top, off of their next enhance. Either they play another attack and I draw it, or they pass their turn and I draw it for my turn for Kevin. On to the more flow cards, we're playing Triple the Azure Nightmare. I don't think this card needed to be in the deck. I think this could have been more defensive pieces in order to make sure I don't die. But I was just so afraid of checking it to in an opportune moment. This card could easily be cut for something else. Same thing with Double Hell's Reach. Once again, I was being a little baby about checking the 2. And so if this could have just been a better defensive piece, probably something along the lines of Most Trusted Assassin or something along that, maybe this deck could handle attacks a little better. We're playing 4 Orphan Alchemist. This is just to make sure that my Shadow Slicer plays stay handy. If they try to remove my Shadow Slicers with something, I can just flip and say no to that. It's also a fairly solid low block. Normally I don't play this at a 4 of inside of Slicer decks unless I'm hurting on the lows. Next, we're playing Double Face of a Monster. I think this is a standard evil kit. Just good defense. After they play an ability, I will give it -1 speed. After they play an attack, -1 speed. I can lose a Vitality for another -1 and slash or Desperation. Change the zone to any other zone, and I'm playing Flame Aura. So I just change that guy high and then block for free. And then my last card is Outworld's Heiress. We'll call this a little bit of disruption. After I can enhance, lose Vitality, and bounce an asset or foundation. And so not only am I getting rid of their best cards, they can hack their check off of Kevin's cool ability. Really cool stuff. I really enjoyed playing this deck. All right, and so that was the Kevin Broberg 2-dot deck that I played for the Champs versus the World Campus Championship. I thoroughly enjoyed this deck. I think the concept's really cool. I want to go back to the drawing board. I don't want to give up on this deck quite yet. I think the deck honestly just needs a little bit more defense. As going through the profile, we're doing a lot of things proactively, but if the goal is just to Spirit Bomb them with the Pulse Flare, I don't need to be quite so aggressive. We could have cut some attacks. We could have cut some aggressive foundations. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below. What would you do with a Pulse Flare Kevin Broberg deck? With that said, if you want to catch these matches live, go to twitch.tv/TCGUniversity Tuesdays at 6 o'clock, and you can catch us out there, as well as you can support us out on Patreon, patreon.com/TCGUniversity. Sub at the $1 level, get access to our Discord, and you can send me all of your really cool Kevin Broberg deck lists out there. So, from all of us here at TCGU, thank you very much for watching, and stay learned.